we're going to, it's a beautiful topic, and we're going to require everybody's attentiveness on this topic, as Captain Mehta will lead us through a very enlightening talk on the three great powers of the mind, which is based on the enormous light that our spiritual heritage has thrown on this. And if we are able to understand and apply these powers, self-created problems such as anxiety, depression, fear, all these other toxic thoughts and mind management problems will just not come into our life. So Captain Mehta, without taking too much time, I will turn it over to you. You are the transforming power in our life, and it is always a joy to listen to you. I warmly welcome you to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kalindi. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be here every time. And thank you, Kalindi, for giving me this opportunity and getting me here. Hello, friends. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. There are people here from different time zones. So I greet all of them and a warm welcome to each one of you who have spared your valuable time to be here. Friends, today's talk comes out of some reflections I've had on the traditions of our ancient Indian wisdom, on the wider traditions of great Indian religion of humanity, such as Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and also on certain new insights we are getting from positive psychology and neuroscience in the last 20 to 30 years. Yes, friends, let's start with the greatest of Hindu epics. Yes, I've chosen because I do find we have a lot to learn from our epics. The great Indian epic, the Mahabharata, which is also one of the largest epics we have in all of human civilization. The Bhagavad Gita, which is well known as the most popular Hindu scriptures, is embedded in Mahabharata. The story of Mahabharata, to those of you who are familiar with it, it's of a civil war in ancient India between the princes of the same family, same royal family, and the hero is none other than Arjuna. We're going to be talking and learning a lot of lessons in the next 30 minutes. Arjuna's guru, his friend, his teacher is Krishna, who is avatar of God, and the villain of the story is another prince. I'm sure everyone knows about him, Duryodhana. He is a stubborn who is basically villainous. And Krishna teaches Arjuna the Gita, which is the essence of the wisdom of Upanishads, the ancient scriptures of the Hindus. Now, somebody once asked me that why did he not teach Duryodhana the villain? He could have reformed him and could have prevented the great civil war called Mahabharata. So it's a good thing to teach a good person, but really, if you can teach to a naughty and transform that person, wouldn't that have been better? The interesting thing is that Krishna actually didn't try to teach Duryodhana, the villain. Krishna approached him and said that what he was doing was wrong, and that is not dharma. This is not the path of morality of dharma. Duryodhana, the villain's response is, I would say it's a beautiful response. It sums up the human conditions so beautifully. He says to Krishna, the embodiment of Godhead, the supreme Lord. He says to him, don't tell me what is right or wrong. I know what is right. I know what is wrong. I even know what I'm doing is wrong. I even know what I should do. That's not my problem. I know what is right, but I don't feel like doing it. How interesting these dialogues or the uh, interpretation of their conversation. I know what is wrong. I can't stop myself from doing it. We have never heard this from before from anyone. I have no inclination for the right, being righteous. What I'm doing is immoral, but I can't stop myself. There is some force within me which impels me. I cannot control myself. It's a great struggle. It is the basis of human conditioning. It is the basis of human conditioning. It's not just the villain, it's to every one of us. It's to every one of us. Let's be honest to ourselves. We have faced this and we have struggled with it. The interesting thing is that in Gita, when Krishna teaching Arjuna, he says more or less the same thing, that what you are teaching me is very difficult. That's how even Arjuna responds. The impulses with us, the passion and the anger within us drives us to immorality. How can I walk the path of morality? That's the question. The same question, more or less, but with different crucial difference. The difference that makes Duryodhana the villain of the epic and Arjuna the hero makes Arjuna the recipient of teaching of Gita. What a crucial difference. You want to know? Duryodhana said, this is what I am. Nothing can be done about it. I am not interested in changing. Arjuna said, this is what I am. How can I be better? Teach me. This little difference, this little decision makes all the difference in our lives. Friends, religion can help us, teachers, philosophy, psychology, psychoanalysis, and everything can help us only if we decide to help ourselves. That crucial difference, the difference of decision, that's the first thing I want to talk about today. Right. So this is it, the power of decision. We all have that power, but we do not use it. You see, what happens is that Krishna says in Gita later on, we do not use it. The enemy is the passion within us, the anger and the rage within us. That is the enemy. That is which lies within all of us, in the saint and the sinner, both of them. The difference is this. The difference is this. Krishna says to Arjuna, do not give way to them. That is the straight path to despair and destruction. Do not give way to them. You have the power to choose. A saint is also a person who does get angry. There are a lot of people who do not feel the anger, but it is the person who decides not to give way or give into anger. A decision, the power of decision, we all have that. The thing is, we normally act according to our program. What we have is the wave pattern of behavior that we have inculcated over lifetime. The wave pattern of behavior that has been inculcated over our lifetime. If you are a Hindu or a Buddhist or a Jain or Sikh, the Indian traditions of religion, you say in many lifetimes, not one lifetime, many lifetimes. We have programmed ourselves with our pattern of behavior. That's what is normally expressed. When we meet the difficult situation in life, whatever is written within us during past conditioning, that comes out automatically. A good example is computers. When you switched on a computer, particularly the old computer, had a boot up sequence. It would load things one after the other. I'm sure the elders sitting here would know about it. At one point, it would give you an opportunity to interrupt the sequence and do something else in between. Otherwise, it boots up the way it has been programmed to do so. So there is an automatic sequence of events that unfolds in our life. It's exactly like that with us. Our past conditioning unfolds. Something annoying happens, we react with irritation, anger, and even rage, not consciously, but as a decision. Not as a decision, but it's the past conditioning which comes up. When Krishna tells Arjuna in Gita, is that there is a window of opportunity. Krishna tells Arjuna, there is always a window of opportunity when the reactions bubble up within us. As they come up from our unconscious mind or subconscious mind, come to the level of our conscious mind. Subconscious mind come to the level of our conscious mind before they are expressed. Before they are expressed in speech and action, there is a window. There is a window where we can accept that or reject it, where we can bypass it and replace it with more skillful thoughts, ideas, and action. The window of opportunity is short-lived. It's short-lived, it's tiny, but that is the place, that is the window where we can take a decision. For example, sitting at a table, maybe even this one just now, an impulse comes. Let me check my mail. You ask yourself, dude, do I have a mail? Do I have a text? That's not a conscious decision. That impulse is not a conscious decision, it's a habit. It's a habit without any evolution on our part. Right. Many times the hand goes to your pocket and you take out your cell phone and you start fiddling around with it. And then you put it back. That's a patterned behavior, programmed behavior. But at that moment, if I take a decision, I say no to that and yes to Captain Mehta's talk or whatever is going on, that's a conscious decision. I have used my power of decision. That's what you will say. I have used my power of decision. The power of decision has two parts. What is when you say no to something, and the other one when you say yes to something consciously. If we ask ourselves throughout the day, what have I said no to something consciously, and whatever I said yes to something consciously, I would find that I keep taking decisions for my work, for my interpersonal relationship, maybe with regard to other people and other activities and external matters. We keep taking decisions throughout the day. We keep taking decisions. Mostly in regard to our own lives, we hardly take any decision. We hardly say no to anything. We hardly say yes to anything. Consciously, unconsciously, we are doing it all the time. So coming back, Krishna says to Arjuna in Gita, the path of yoga, the path to wisdom is to awaken into conscious action. Conscious action. That is, when you do that, the answer is very interesting. When you do, we have the power of decision. When do you have the power of decision? We have the power of decision all the time with us. Vivekananda said, let me recall, that when the sleeping soul is aroused to this conscious action, power will come. Glory will come, goodness will come, all that is great and excellent in human life comes when the sleeping soul is aroused to conscious action. The goodness comes when the sleeping soul is aroused to conscious action. Conscious action here means taking a decision consciously. Consciously saying yes to everything you want in life. I admit that I want these things in life. I admitted that I do not want these things in my life. Then why not consciously say yes to these and no to the other things? What should I decide upon? In the Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna 4 things. What thoughts we entertain, what words we use, what we speak, and finally, what actions we take. You see, actions are only the most gross visible manifestations. Subtler than the actions are the words we use, and subtler than the words are the thoughts we entertain. Take care of thoughts, the words are taken care of. Take care of words and thoughts, your actions are taken care of. So, taking decisions about what to think reminds me of this short story of a monk who went to learn meditation and told his meditation teacher, it's difficult. It's difficult. We all know it is difficult, meditation. It is difficult. Teacher asked, why is it difficult? All sorts of unwanted thoughts come to my mind. Then the teacher gave him this exercise. Do this. Keep watching your thoughts, and whenever unwanted thoughts come, take a black pebble and put it in this bowl. Take a black pebble, put it in this bowl, and when the thought you want to entertain, a holy thought, a spiritual thought of calmness, loving kindness, when it comes, take a white pebble and put it in that bowl. The young monk did it. First day, first few days, the bowl was mostly full of black pebbles. Slowly, at the end of the year, the bowl was mostly full of white pebbles. So consciously, we can change our thoughts, speech, and action. So, which brings me to our second point, that is the second great power. That's the power of concentration. I want to talk about, and that is the power of concentration or focus. Right? And Vivekananda said that the difference between an ordinary person and the great person lies in the degree of concentration. Ordinary person and the great person lies in the degree of concentration. When I read that, I wasn't fully convinced. I thought only in the degree of concentration. There is a great difference in me and, say, Vivekananda itself. Is it only in the degree of concentration? Once a monk was appearing for a terribly difficult examination. In India, we say it's a IIT entrance test. Hundreds and thousands of intelligent, well-prepared, ambitious young men and women take that examination every year. This young man who became a monk, my friend, he was placed second in his batch. Among those hundreds and thousands of people, he was incredibly good. It was incredible achievement in India. Of course, he had brilliant career before that, and academically after that in India's most prestigious institute. Background is the reason. Why am I giving you this background? One day in a seminary, they were trained. Another senior monk who saw him sitting and reading, he asked him, "Friend, what are you reading?" No answer. He's sitting there and reading. He had his toe out, extended on the bed, relaxed and reading there. Right. Senior monk asked him twice, "What are you reading?" No reply. So he caught hold of his big toe and again asked him, "What are you reading?" And can you imagine this person whose body he was touching does not react? He cannot feel it. He's only reading the book. It's only when he lifted the book to see the cover, the senior monk was also persistent, if anything else. He got a shock and looked up. Then he looked up. Now that is concentration. The difference between an ordinary person and a great person in any pursuit of life, any field of life, whether you are in academics, you are an artist, a scientist, whether you are a meditator, we have all come across people in our community who have this tremendous ability to focus and bear down upon what they are doing. There is this psychologist called Mihaly. It's a American-Hungarian psychologist, born and brought up in Hungary, migrated to the US, who has written this classic book, Flow. If you have heard of it, he worked on this power of concentration, the focus. All his life, he was worked on this. His work is now taken as foundation in the area of attention. He says in the book, Flow, that we all have limited capability for processing information. He uses the language of information technology. I'm sure a lot of you may be familiar with it. He says in 1 second, the human mind can consciously process about 120 bits in the sense of information science. 120 bits of information, not more than that. That also includes awareness of your body, that you exist, that you are here, you are breathing, plus the awareness of the environment and your own mental state of mind. What is focus? What is concentration? He says is the ability to take those 120 bits as much as possible and put it in your object of concentration. Reading a book, listening to music, doing some work. Everything will come in 120 bits. You know what? I have seen children who find it difficult to study, and parents often complain. Here is a boy or a girl who doesn't study. He studies when there is a rock music playing, there is a mobile phone with him, where he's checking who is texting him, and he is browsing on the net and doing a little bit of reading at the same time. If you take it away, he or she is upset. He needs areas of engagement, a little bit on the music, a little bit on the texting, a little bit on the internet. And so the person is involved. But it does not make for a good focus at studies. But the person is happy. The boy or the girl is happy. If you take away these resources, the person becomes unhappy. Right? Once a mind is trained to that, now listen, especially at young age, especially for the parents and also for the teachers and the professors who are sitting in this August webinar. Once a mind is trained to that, especially at young age, then the minds are trained to distraction. What I have discovered is they are used to being entertained from the early morning to late night from their early age. This is how the conditioning of your mind takes place. Daniel Goleman, who is famously known for his work on emotional intelligence, I'm sure most of you must have heard of Daniel Goleman, remarks that we have to train children in the art of concentration. And he recommends meditation. He recommends meditation. He actually recommends meditation for children. It is very interesting to see that meditation is gaining importance in modern psychology. Csikszentmihalyi, the person I mentioned, Csikszentmihalyi, a Hungarian-American psychologist, in his book Flow, towards the middle of the book, he mentions he has studied the classical literature of the world. He has studied the classical literature of the East, of the West, looking for flow experiences. And he says that the best system for generating flow that he had ever come across in all his studies, can you believe what did he say? Is Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. That's why when I began, I said, I'm going to link this talk with ancient Indian wisdom. The classic manual of meditation is Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, where you are taught how to concentrate. The whole of Yoga Sutra is meant for enlightenment. It's not meant for just concentration on your studies or your work. It's meant for enlightenment. The idea of Patanjali Yoga Sutra is the only thing that keeps us from enlightenment. The only thing that prevents you from being a Buddha is that we cannot meditate like Buddha. Our minds are distracted. If you could calm your mind down, then you would be enlightened. The second sutra of Patanjali says, allowing your thoughts to flow in an uninterrupted stream results in contemplation. That is dhyana, meditation. The yoga The true yoga is focus of the mind, absolute cessation of the disturbance of the mind, movements of the mind. Then it creates the absolute calmness of the mind. Then the truth lying beneath the mind, behind the mind, the witness of the mind is revealed. That is the purpose. That is the purpose. But the technique mentioned in Patanjali Yoga Sutra shows wonderful technology for concentration, wonderful technology for focus. There you are taught, first of all, the moral disciplines. That's yama and niyama. Then how to sit quietly. Sitting quietly is an important part of quietening the mind. I've been talking about this quietening of the mind and sitting still in my morning meditation sessions. And I'm sure many of you who are the regular participants will recollect that. You imagine a bowl of water. If you shake the bowl ever so little, the water inside shakes quite a bit. To keep the water absolutely still, imagine how careful you have to be with the bowl. So it is with the body and the mind. Body has to be still before the mind can be still. Mind can be focused only when the body is still. I remember the instruction from Himalayan monk who is guiding meditation. It was long back when we were visiting Hardwar and beyond from the college in the monastery. I remember the instructions. He sounds more like a boot camp drill instructor than a meditation teacher. Like a sergeant major, which I realized after I joined Navy. He barks out in Hindi, "Hilo mat, bolo mat, socho mat." This means don't move, don't speak, don't think. So 3 stages. First of all, the physical body is taken care of. Then our language system, the chattering of the mind. Then the deeper levels of mind are quieted. So sthir asana means sitting still. Breathing is deeply connected with it. With our breathing, when you are angry, notice how rapid the breathing is. And I'm sure all the participants will recollect how much importance we give to breathing in our morning sessions. When you are peaceful, notice how even the breathing is. So the ancient yogis discovered that when mind is calm, the breath is also even and harmonious. Does it work the other way around? If you can control the breath, if you can make the breath harmonious, it will calm the mind. We discovered that it does. I was reading a book written by Deepak Chopra about attention, about the importance of concentration and attention. He says, the quality of your life depends on what you pay attention to and how much you pay attention to. What you pay attention to in your life. Are you paying attention to positive things, to your work, to your passion, to your art, to your creativity, to your relationships, to your God? Are you paying attention to that or the negative things in your life? The sorrow, the suffering, the old age, the disease, the heartbreaks. Are you dwelling on that? The more we dwell on that, the worse will be our quality of our life. The same life, more we dwell on the other side. That means more we face towards the sun, the better quality of our life. Just by shifting our attention. Just by shifting our attention. I think it was John Milton who said, a mind in its own place and in itself can make heaven of hell and hell of heaven. I'm sure many of you must have heard this. The crucial learning here is shifting, learn to shift attention. What you dwell about, what you dwell upon in your own life, and how much we dwell on that to turn hell into heaven and heaven into hell. Right. Yes, with this power of concentration, let me move over to power of selflessness. I will move on to this next thing now. It so happened in India's one of the best defense services staff college, Mr. N.A. Palkhiwala was invited to give a talk. I'm sure most of us do know, but those who are from outside India, he was then India's leading jurist and solicitor. Okay. He loved going to libraries. Why am I saying this? In 1985, I was a student at this staff college. As part of protocol, the management nominated me as his liaison officer. This happens whenever a dignitary visits one of the officers, the trainee officers are nominated as a liaison officer. Therefore, I had a chance to be with him for some time. I spent some time with him in the college library. He loved going to the library. He would watch officers studying. He would watch how hard they worked. Just to begin the conversation or a break ice with him, I told Mr. Palkhiwala that the officers are really immersed in their reference books, centered on their project. On weekends, they spend 8 to 10 hours in the library. Go early in the morning, come back late in the evening. He gave me a cool nod. So to impress him a bit more, I said, amazing power of concentration. This is what powers India's finest armed forces. Now it was turn for Palkhiwala. Commander, you are right, but I am not impressed. I was taken aback. I am not impressed. I asked him why. He said, they are absorbed in their work and doing great work, but all of that without heart. Please listen to these words, very important. It does not impress me. Ultimately, it does no good to the officers. It does no good to the society. Many of them will chase their careers, become brigadiers and generals. They will try to make a lot of money for themselves. And they will. They have no higher dimensions in life, but they have no higher dimensions in their life. They don't look around the society. Let me repeat, they don't look around the society. Even their workplace, who needs what and what help. He looked at my blank face and said, read Vivekananda. These words of Palkhiwala touched my heart. Just an unending focus, immense power of concentration, yet without heart. Without love, without sensibility, without sensitiveness. That's what you are describing a demon. You are not describing a saint. So, along with power of concentration is the power of selflessness. Yes, again, our participants and the students of my morning meditation class will recall how often we have talked about selflessness. It is the power of selflessness. Swami Vivekananda, who spoke about selflessness, gave this slogan: work for your own entitlement and for the welfare of the world. I often discuss this with my colleagues. Why this word "and"? Why not your enlightenment? And why not just for the welfare of the world? Why both of them at the same time? Let me take you to the Bible. People ask Jesus, which is the most important of the commandments? In Judaism, there are more than 500 commandments. Actually, which is the most important? You know what Jesus said? The most important commandment is love thy Lord, thy God, with all thy heart and all thy might. And just as you would think the disciples were closing their notebooks and beginning to get up, the Jesus said, and love thy neighbor. Look, two things. Look, two things. He could have just said, love thy neighbor. He could have just said, love thy God. But he said both. Right? In Gita, when Krishna is summarizing his teachings to Arjuna, he says, contemplate in me, that is God himself, and fight the battle of life, and fight the battle of life. You see a deep absorption in God and yet being involved in the society, in life. Not just one of the two, no, just going away, no, just going away. You have to come back to the society every time. That's why you see the connection, whether Jesus says, love thy God and love thy neighbor, whether Krishna says, contemplate in God and fight the battle of life, do your duty in life. Or Swami Vivekananda gives us this motto, for your own enlightenment and for the welfare of the world. You see the deepest sense. We are not two different things. We are expressing two aspects of the same thing. Swami Vivekananda said, when asked, what is spirituality? He said, when I close my eyes in meditation, I find my peace within. When I open my eyes, my attitude is what I can do for you. That is spirituality. Both of them, they have to be together. They have to be together. Usually it is other way around. Swami, when I close my eyes, there are lots of disturbances within, no peace within. It's not what I can do for you, but what I can get from you. Same thing happens to most of us when we go to temple, church, or all these holy places. No wonder we do not have peace. No wonder we do not have peace. Our attitude is usually the opposite of spirituality. One of the modern pioneers of positive psychology, Daniel Gilbert, who is called Professor of Happiness Studies, to simplify his definition of happiness, he says, H stands for happiness. Happiness is a function of three things. Three things. P for pleasure, E for engagement, and M for meaning in life. That means the purpose of your life. Pleasure is to do what we enjoy, eat food and choice. Eat food of choice, wear clothes of choice, meet people whom we like. That is habit forming, and that does not give happiness in long run at all. What gives me happiness is engagement. More than pleasure, engagement is. If you are lucky enough to enjoy what you do for living, or even if you do not, if you are lucky enough to have a hobby or two which you enjoy, then you are engaged. So friends, difference between pleasure and engagement is that if you are watching a game of badminton on TV and we actually go out to play badminton, I may not be able to play badminton as well, what I'm watching on TV, but when I actually go out to play, it gives me more satisfaction than sitting down on a couch and watching on the TV. That's the difference. Engagement is active and chasing pleasure is passive. Meaning in life is given by our scriptures. Meaning in life is doing something for others. It's a concern for others. And friends, selfless in the long run, selflessness is more paying. It takes more matured mind to understand that. There was a young man who came to Vivekananda. He said, Swami, I try to meditate. I close all doors and windows and sit and meditate for long hours in a quiet place. Yet I am most unhappy. Vivekananda said, open the doors and windows of your house. Go out and see if there is a sick person who needs help. If there is an ignorant person who needs education help, then you will get the place you are seeking. Here is a small story of how Bihar School of Yoga came into being. Its founder, Swami Satyananda Saraswati. He, in his young age, went to Hardwar to Swami Sivanand Saraswati and said, I want to renounce and be your disciple. You know what Swami Sivananji said to Satyananji? Sure, but I want you to go out and travel across India and then come back to me. The whole purpose was go out and see what people want, how I can help them. And finally, he was so enlightened by traveling across India. He came back to Bihar in a place called Munger and opened one of the India's finest yoga institute, Bihar School of Yoga. So that has been the tradition of Indian culture. So friend, in the closing, I can only say, these are three great powers that I want to place before you today. The power to take decision, that's where it begins. Then comes the power of focusing. That's the real energy behind all of this. We need to use all resources. Power of decision, power of focus or concentration. And the greatest of all powers is the power of selflessness. Before I finish, let me express my gratitude. Last but not the least, I'm extremely grateful to Swami Sarvapriyananda ji for learning from him the meaning of life and its three great powers. Friends, today's talk was an adaptation from one of his past lectures. I'm also grateful to my teacher Janki Santoke ji of Vedanta Academy, Mumbai. I'm also grateful to Sister Shivani ji of Brahmkumari. I'm also grateful to Swami Satyanand ji, founder of Bihar School of Yoga. Thank you, friends. It's been real honor talking to each one of you. Should you have any questions? I'll be happy to answer them.
I would like to add on something.
Yes. Please, whoever asks question, I would request you to turn on your video, tell your name, and also if you from where you are, and then ask your question or add whatever you want. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Saroj Modi. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are absolutely clear. Welcome, Saroj.
I'm Saroj Modi. Very nicely you have summed up and बहुत अच्छा talk था. Very good talk. Now, as Duryodhan said, Janami dharmam nachame pravritti, janami dharmam nachame nivritti. What it shows, if you remember, Krishna was giving knowledge to Arjuna. Sanjay, who had divine vision, he was explaining to Dhritarashtra in Mahabharata. When Krishna was teaching Arjun, Arjun changed. There was transformation in Arjun. There was transformation in Sanjay. But no change in Dhritarashtra. If you remember, his attitude, his thinking, everything was same. So what it shows that we are born with such genes. We are born with our traits. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, we are born with our traits, and those traits start overpowering us. Despite of knowing, like Duryodhan said, we knew, but no inclination to change. That showed that our genetic formation is such.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And I've also mentioned in our lifetimes, yes, or maybe according
past
to
lifetime,
even
yes,
the past lifetimes.
So everything is ingrained in our subconscious.
Yeah, we are conditioned.
Now, we are conditioned. That is why we have those traits. Now, Upanishad, Mandukya says. Can I complete?
Please, let Saroj Modi complete it.
Conditioning.
Yeah, let Saroj Modi complete it.
So you very rightly mentioned the word past conditioning.
So Mandukya Upanishad says, Laye sambodhaye chittam vikshiptam shamayet puna sakashayam vijaniyat samapraptam na chalayet. So they very nicely they have said, awaken the sleeping mind. And whenever it is going in this direction, know it, again make it peaceful. Create the balance.
Yes.
But again, there comes stagnation. Many times we keep doing the thing, same thing, and we get into stagnation. So again, we have to know we are in stagnation. I'm just adding on to your things.
Beautiful.
And when we get into balance, we should maintain it.
Absolutely right.
When we get into balance, let's maintain that. So it's very nicely, really, you have summed up. Bahut acha talk tha.
Thank you so much, Saroj.
Very good.
Coming from you means a lot to me. Coming from you, a lot to me.
No. Yeah, we are learning from each other.
Right. Yes, thank you. Yes, Kalindi, anyone? I'm not looking at the chat box, but if there are any chats, please.
कैप्टन सर, मेरा तो कल एक ही छोटा सा प्रश्न ये है.
जी हाँ.
You said about the past conditioning, So how to decondition if it is over? If all this past conditioning goes with after birth by birth, how do we uncondition?
It's Anil.
I'm Anil Mehta.
Anil, acha, okay, right. Right.
So how to decondition? One is that you such talks like you. I mean, you can uncondition us, but
Yes.
what could be the other ways?
Right. Very nice question, Anilji. Thank you. Unconditioning is by constant practice of meditation and breath awareness, being aware of yourself. Breath awareness leads to self-awareness. Kalindi, am I right? Eh?
Yes, yes, Captain.
Breath awareness leads to, it's a very simple. I also share with my participants in the morning meditation class, which is at 6:30 every day, and say, look, breath awareness is the mother of all meditation. Here we all learn to be aware of the breath as it is. As it is means a truth. And we are all seeking truth. When you are aware of your breath, you are better self-aware of yourself. Better self-awareness leads to your knowing what are your strengths and weaknesses. So the previous conditioning will emerge in your weaknesses. Previous conditioning, which are your strengths, will emerge there when you are better self-aware. Okay, so how to uncondition is by meditation. Am I okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Randir, please ask your unmute and ask the question.
Pratap, no question. I just want to thank you for a very wonderful lecture, very soothing, brilliant. So happy to hear you. Pratap is and me are colleagues from the Navy. We've been together since 1970. I think that goes back more than 50 years. Pratap, can I take 2 minutes to describe a dream I had once?
Please do. Please do.
I'm sorry, I'll take your time. Just 2 minutes. Give me. It was a dream that moved me so much. I can't tell you. I was wherever it was in deep sleep, and there was this temple, and there was a rumor going around that Lord Krishna has come to the temple. And not being a very religious man, I didn't bother too much, and I just forgot about it, and I carried on. And after a while, again, this rumor came that no, Lord Krishna has come to the temple. And then I said, something told me, okay, why not just go and take a look? Everyone's saying that. And I started walking towards that temple. And believe me, I barely took a few steps. And in my dream, I saw Lord Krishna was walking towards me. He was looking so beautiful, so glorious, I can't tell. And, and when he passed near me, I folded my hands and I said, this is God himself. And I took a step back. A sinner like me who's done so much wrong. And, he didn't look at me. I'm very clear. He did not look at me. He walked past, but he raised his hand, he smiled, and he blessed me, and he carried on. And I felt so relieved. I felt so rejuvenated. I can't tell you. And then I'm looking at him now. He's walking away from me. He goes into a courtyard, and then there's a big wall over there. He jumps on that wall. He has to, and I'm just thinking he's got to go now. And he jumps onto that wall, and he's not able to scale that wall. It's so high. And then he strains with his hand, another hand appears, he pushes hard, and then he's on top of the wall, and he jumps and he disappears. He's gone. And I know the message I could learn from him was, no matter who you are, wherever you are, you got to keep working hard. That was it. Yeah. Thank you, Pratap. Thank you for giving me this audience.
Thank you, Randir. Thank you so much. And the dreams, sharing your dream also answers our friend Simran from Malaysia's question. Can someone else visualize your dream? So beautiful. Thank you, Simran, for asking that. And yeah, go ahead, please.
We had a question from Suresh Sachdev at the beginning of the call. His question is regards to that we are visual thinkers, so we see things in pictures and visually imagine. So can you talk about where the mind and the soul as to its location inside our body and its function? So maybe if you can just touch upon that a little bit.
Maybe Kalindi, would you like to answer that?
I'll let you take it, Captain.
Okay, right. Beautiful question. Let me first say soul and brain, I mean, our mind and brain are not the same thing as against the Western philosophy, right? Brain has a particular place and a surgeon can cut open and show you the brain. Mind is like a software of a computer which is in our whole body. Okay, there's no specific location. So when you program your mind, the mind gives instructions to the brain what is to be done. That's the hard disk. Okay, the software is your mind. Does it answer you, Sajdev sir?
The mind part, okay. What about soul?
Yeah, soul and mind are, these are again the same thing, I would say. There is not a, you can't differentiate between that. And when we die, it's the soul which remains there with programming, continues there. That's why soul and mind are same thing. Therefore, in a subsequent life, the same thing, what has happened in our previous lifetimes, that takes place. Because what is programmed, mind is also not a specific thing. Soul is also not a specific thing. Soul, mind is also a programming. It's invisible thing. It's a philosophy, if you believe in it. So when a man passes over, he leaves this costume. The soul continues to exist with that same programming. Okay. Yeah.
Captain, we talk about body, mind, soul.
Yes.
Mind you have explained and I've understood. Body I've understood. Soul, if you see, Brahma Kumari talks about a third eye on your forehead, which has got a red round shape.
So I don't know. Have you seen third eye?
Yeah, I've not seen the mind also that way.
Correct. So it's like a software. So the soul is also something invisible. And in my school of thought, or the school of thought that I've imbibed from various my gurus, which I've expressed my gratitude. Yeah. We are not attaching any symbol or image or any sound to these things, right? Because the people of different sects, different followings may believe in third eye, may not believe in third eye. Soul is something which is again invisible thing, like a mind, and it's they're both almost they're same thing. You know, the programming of soul is done by the mind. It's the software which is there. Okay, and it's not something I would say visible, or it's a philosophy which you have to probably it's only for discussion purpose. But the fact is, there is something like cause and effect. There is something like preconditioning of mind. We follow the certain things which we just talked about it today. Why it happens? Why our minds are preconditioned? It's because the mind and soul go together.
Yeah. Can we consider like your soul is the petrol, you are mind is the driver, and the car is the body?
I would like to attach these symbols, but it depends. Again, philosophy, everyone understands in his own way. If you would like to, this gives you a better understanding, yeah, go ahead. But I would like to attach this. Yeah.
Saroji, please say your thoughts. I think you were about to say something.
See, we are combination of, like we say, man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. So we have this mind. Mind also had different levels. Like we can go even beyond the mind, where mind becomes absent. And this is, you can call it just part of energy. In energy, there are grosser form of energy, subtler form of energy, and very subtle energy. So when we go higher and higher, the subtle energy works. We can't take out just soul is this. Soul is combination of everything. The gross energy also comes in the soul. But gross energy, which we have body, we leave. Other things are there always with us. So whatever karma we have done, whatever actions we have taken in life, it remains with us. With us, you can say with that in form of energy. And that energy, you can call it soul. You can't have the gross body of soul. It's only energy. And actually, the whole universe is only energy, nothing else.
Yes.
So in same energy, we have doership, we have victimization, everything we have. Only the body becomes sufferer because of that. When you leave the body, the whole energy remains same. Your perceptions, your ideas, whatever you have accumulated, good or bad, everything remains with you. And that is part of energy. Even after leaving the body, it is there with you. Somewhere you are still existing and you take birth with all those traits. That is what he was discussing. That is what makes our genetic factors also in our life. Why some parents are very intelligent, but the children are mentally retarded. Some parents are not really educated or anything, but children are doing very well, education-wise. So the reason we are born with our traits, and those traits are because of whatever we accumulate in that energy. So everything is form of energy. Mind is also in form of energy. We can't
absolutely.
we can't see only, we can't correlate everything only with the body. We are not only body.
Yes.
Body is part of us, but we are not only body.
Absolutely. Thank you, Saroji. Very nicely explained. And Sureshji, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's okay.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else next? Though we have exceeded our 15 minutes, but if you are happy, we can answer few more questions.
We don't have any questions in the chat box, Captain, but
Yeah.
everybody has thanked us, and it was a beautiful session. So, and very insightful. Thank you.
Right. You can. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kalindi. You may like to close it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Captain. I just feel like what you said, the window of opportunity before our subtle thoughts manifest into our action is very small, but very, very mighty. And it is an opportunity for us to awaken our sleeping mind, as you rightly said, and wake up to conscious action through the powers of our decision, the power of concentration, and the power of selflessness that comes from gratitude and an open heart. In closing, I just want to remind everybody, as most of you know, we have daily, weekly sessions. Every morning at 6:30 a.m. India time, Captain leads us through a guided meditations. We have knowledge sharing every week. We have a new and advanced techniques of meditations. So our regular people who join us will know about this, but those who are new, yeah, we'll include the information in the chat box. Please do join us. Captain will be very happy to answer any questions you have about that. The details will be included in the chat box. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. And it has been a pleasure to have everybody here. Thank you.
Friends, thank you, Kalindi. In closing, I can only say that I've had such an honor to be with you all today. Thank you very much. You guys are amazing, each one of you. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't have done this without each one of you. You all be persistent, congruent in your endeavors. God bless you. Remain in bliss. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Kalindi. Thank you, Pratap.
Thank you. Thank you, Kalindi. Thank you, Pratap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Captain.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anyone who wishes to stay back or have any questions, please feel free to stay.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Oh, thanks, Esther. Thank you so much. You want so?
Finally, was Sangeeta ji able to come?
I included the YouTube link, so I think she was
Okay.
able to watch through the live there.
Yeah.